welcome everybody to this week's Market Share, the short weekly segment brought to you by MKR, where we bring you all the noteworthy news and updates surrounding digital media and the world today. I'm your host, Genevieve, and we've got some great stories for you today, so let's get started. First up this week, Heinz Ketchup has launched a campaign that cleverly links its brand to the year's Super Bowl. Heinz 57 is encouraging the NFL to drop the Roman numerals for this year's game, which of course is the 57th iteration of the event. It's a clever interaction that should do well for engagement with a giveaway tied to the campaign as well. But that's not the interesting part for us. They have a microsite for this campaign where people can presumably vote if they should do away with the Roman numerals and enter the giveaway. All the normal parts of a campaign microsite. The URL for this that Heinz procured is LVII means 57.com with a Z, MEANZ. You can make whatever crimes against spelling in your URL, but you had better make sure you collect all your potential misspellings in your URL redirects. Heinz did not. A clever marketer named Zach Tarvin grabbed LVII MEANS and created a microsite of his own, praising Heinz's products and doing us all a favor and reminding us that if you're going to be clever, you had better not be too clever for your own good and leave others opportunity. Tarvin makes an excellent point that while his site is entirely harmless and very funny, what if an unscrupulous person had grabbed the URL and done something damaging to the brand? If your marketing campaign gives people the opportunity to make an easy typo or misspells a common word, you need to do your homework and make sure you have all of those bases covered. Second this week, Whopper 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 Whopper, Double Triple Junior Whopper. If your eye didn't just start twitching as you sang along, you might be living under a rock or watching a lot less football than we have been recently. Burger King's seemingly nonsensical jingle for their burgers is a punishing earworm that tends to stick inside your brain for far longer than you might prefer. In fact, it appears that the entirety of the internet feels the same way we do, because the internet has done what it does best and started making art out of the jingle. Countless remixes of the song, endless parodies, and 2023's version of the Rickroll duping people into hearing the song have all extended the life of what on the surface appears to be an unremarkable ad. O'Keefe, Reinhardt, and Paul, the agency behind the campaign, said they created 150 different demos of the ad before landing on the final version. The hard work behind it has paid off, not just simply with a commercial that without a doubt keeps the Burger King on your mind, as the song endless drones inside your brain, but also with all the earned media that the campaign has garnered, which is nearly priceless. Next up this week, KFC wants you to head outside even if it's cold. In a brand activation in Toronto, Canada's KFC has partnered with Raptors player Gary Trent Jr. to create a basketball court that can stand up to the frigid Canadian cold. The key tie-in here is buckets, the kind chicken comes in, as well as the kind that Gary Trent Jr. provides our purple dinosaur friends to the north. KFC built a winterized court to stand up to the snow with what they've termed the KF Court, complete with the iconic KFC chicken buckets for basketball nets and pre-warmed basketballs that might turn some Canadian heads away from the hockey rink to the hardwood or coldwood. We're not entirely sure how that works out. KFC is also donating court time to local basketball community groups to run their programs and offering $5 bookable time slots running to the end of February. We do know as Hoosiers, we salute anybody who clears snow away to be able to get some shots up in the winter. Finally this week, upon their arrival, retail ad networks appeared to be a perfect fit for brands looking for specific captive audience segments to advertise to. Third-party data was going away, and these retail ad networks had boatloads of data on their consumers, more than any brand could possibly want, to be able to target to their heart's content. According to eMarketer, 2022 saw ad spending projected to top $40 billion and grow to $61 billion by 2024. 1 in 5 ad dollars spent appears to be heading into these retail ad networks. But is the marriage between these networks and brand marketers as good as it seems on the surface? Advertisers seem confident that retail ad networks help to drive purchases, which is good as that's their primary function. But that's not the only objective that advertisers have. And when that much money has to go to driving the purchase, that doesn't leave much else to spend to accomplish other objectives. The other key issue is the, let's say, rudimentary nature of many of these networks. These networks have grown exponentially as market demand has pushed them, often at breakneck speeds. This often means back-end features that most of us have grown accustomed to in our measurement spaces are left behind or patchworked together, leaving many marketers unsatisfied by the depth of the data available at their disposal. This is a major concern when that much of your budget is wrapped up inside the platform. We'll be waiting to see how these networks grow to support more of marketers' needs if they expect to keep getting a massive portion of retail brands' ad dollars. Next up, let's go to Kelley Briggs, our COO. As we celebrate Black History Month, we'll be highlighting Black industry leaders that you may not know about.
Thanks, Genevieve. Hi, I'm Kelley, our COO at MKR, and this month I'm joining Market Share to dive into a little bit of Black history. Every week we'll highlight the accomplishments of a Black individual who made a lasting contribution in the media and advertising industries. To start this week, follow me back to 1971, when most major brands still took a blanket approach to consumer marketing. Tom Burrell, a young Black man from the south side of Chicago with his background in copywriting, formed what would become Burrell Communications with his then partner, because he recognized that few companies were effectively targeting the untapped buying power of African American households. There was little consideration given to the nuance of Black culture, and he famously coined the phrase, "Black people are not dark-skinned white people." He recognized that for a brand to reach Black audiences, it had to represent an aesthetic that felt familiar, and his partnerships with McDonald's and Coca-Cola were early markers of success. The niche shop quickly grew to $10 million and then eventually into one of the largest multicultural firms in the nation, recognized over the decades since for award-winning work on Procter & Gamble, Polaroid, Kraft, and Toyota. While Mr. Burrell retired in the early aughts, the rhythmic energy of some of his work defined my childhood memories. Big Mac filet of fish, quarter pounder, French fries. I can still only skip one rope at a time, but the McDonald's Double Dutch commercial lives on forever.
That's all for this week's Market Share. My name is Genevieve, and I'll see you all next week. Whopper, 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 Whopper.